Thank you, Darren. Good evening, everyone, once again. And as the players come out, Watford fans lift above their heads their yellow and red and black scarves to mark the 5th anniversary of the passing of Graham Taylor. The Graham Taylor match is held once a year here in memory of the great man. He was a lovely man, he was a generous man, he was a thoughtful man, he was a football man, and they will always remember the man who changed Watford. And because we've had the live TV fireworks, there is a huge pool of smoke that now drifts around Vicarage Road. Before we will be able to kick off, that smoke will have to dissipate before Mike Dean, the referee, can get us going. The players are on the far side from us with their backs towards us in front of the Graham Taylor stand. Graham Taylor, OBE, born September the 15th, 1944, and he passed on January the 12th, 27. Watford's greatest ever manager, it says on the big giant TV screens away to our right hand side. I don't think anyone would argue with that. Their current manager, Claudio Ranieri, has to get over all those ominous omens Darren was talking about. No side has ever stayed up, having lost as many games as Watford have by this stage of the season. Which team will go on to build on those positive results last time out? The Watford plucky point, resolute point at Newcastle. Norwich with the welcome win over Everton. 6 league defeats in 7 for the visitors, 7 defeats in 8 for the home side. Neither has form, but a Watford win would take them very close to Everton, who would be just 2 points clear of the bottom 4. 3 from 4? Well, you never know. Someone else might get sucked back into it. Perhaps it will be the winners of the mini-league of fixtures between the teams at the bottom who stay up. And Watford have already won at Norwich, don't forget, had 2 draws against Newcastle as well, so they're yet to play against Burnley. The 2 captains meet to flip the coin. The captain of Watford, Moussa Sissoko, and the captain of Norwich, Grant Hanley. And Watford in their yellow with their black chest hoops and black shorts and yellow socks have backman in goal. Femenia Kabasele, his first start since October. New signing Samir and Hassan Kamara, another new signing. That's their back 4. Then there's 3 other new signing. Edo Kayembe, the Congo-born player. Tom Cleverley back in the side, his first league start since December, and Moussa Sissoko. And then Emmanuel Dennis, Josh King and João Pedro up front. The referee any second now will blow his whistle before I can bring you the Norwich lineup, and the players of both sides and the match officials and the team officials will take the knee, and Vicarage Road ripples its applause in the constant battle against racism and social injustice. And off we go then. Norwich in fluorescent orange type pink, kicking from right to left in this first half, and a bright start has Sargent into the Watford box, and he goes down under a challenge and nothing is given. Norwich with Angus Gunn in goal because Tim Krul has a shoulder injury, and then a back 4 of Aarons, Hanley, Gibson and Williams. A midfield 4 of Josh Charlton on the right, Pierre Lys Milou, the summer signing from Nice, Jakob Sorensen, who keeps his place, Milo Ratsitska on the left hand side, and Timmy Pukki and Adam Ida up front. And though McLean is fit after COVID, he is only on the bench. 4 changes for Watford, including that big one in goal where Backman is in place of Foster once again. So it was a bright start there, Karen, by Norwich City. Front foot start by them.
Yeah, absolutely. Sargent looks like he's full of confidence driving into the box, and they've started bright and pressing well, Norwich.
Sissoko has lost out. There's Ida with the turn towards the edge of that Watford penalty area, and it's a cumbersome challenge on him by Sissoko that gives away a free kick here. And Norwich perked up by that win against Everton, and they beat Charlton in the Cup as well. 2 victories in the last 3 in all competitions. They've started very, very brightly here. It was a mistimed challenge that brought the young Irishman down. Got the wrong side to make the challenge initially, and both Watford players involved. The first Kayembe and then Sissoko giving away the free kick in dangerous territory. It's a free kick that Milo Ratsitska will take, the Kosovan, who is a right-footed player. He stands to the left of the ball, stoops, puts his hands on the ball. It's a perfect night for football. not as cold as it has been. It's dry, little pool of smoke from those fireworks just drifted away a little bit in the far corner from us, and it's going to be a free kick here. The Norwich profit very early on. Rashitska with it, and it hit the draft excluder Tom Cleverley, and it can be cleared away by Watford, who are now looked to counter the pace of Dennis on the left hand side. King has gone ahead of it, and there's a little foul there, and the free kick conceded for the challenge in the heart of the midfield on João Pedro, and the referee will pull things back and give this free. 2 players are down on the ground. João Pedro is one of them, and the Norwich player involved was Max Aarons. He's okay now. 0-0, 2.5 minutes played. 5 live from the BBC. Very important game at the foot of the table. Watford 17th, 14 points from 19. Norwich 18th, 13 points from 21. Newcastle have 12 points from 20, and Burnley 11 points from 17, with all those games in hand. And you wonder if that will catch up with them in the last few weeks of the season, when they'll have to play certainly twice a week, and maybe even more come the last couple of weeks. A team that cannot score away from home, Norwich, and can't keep goals out against a team that can be terrific here, Karen. You know, they were magnificent against Manchester United, awful recently against West Ham here. Never quite know with Watford. They have their first attack building up now on the right-hand side. Dennis trying to shrug off the marker cleverly, loops it forward, and a chance now for them to have a potential run towards the dead ball line. They couldn't get to that dead ball line though, and it's cleared away, and a free kick is given against Watford.
It's feisty already. Really, you can tell that both teams are well up for this. You see now Watford are a threat on the counter-attack, and Dean Smith was very, very wary of that. He said that in his pre-match, how much of a threat Watford were last week against Newcastle on the counter-attack, so they've got to be really set up for that. I've already seen them have an opportunity. Norwich with a set piece from Rashika, good opportunity, hit it low. It's been a bright, energetic start and some feisty challenges as well.
Free kick will be taken by Angus Gunn. Only a 5th game for him this season. He turns 26 years of age tomorrow. A big match to come into as well, with Tim Krul out injured. Throw to Norwich City, far side from us, halfway inside the Watford half, right hand side. Aarons takes it, brings it under control again as it's returned to him, and it's prodded back to the halfway line, and Grant Hanley all the way back into his own half, and Angus Gunn with the orange boots, right-footed, launches it long. And underneath that now for Watford is one of the home debut boys to clear it away, Hassan Kamara, French-born Ivorian international, not involved in the African nations obviously. Scrappy from Watford. They've conceded possession and now got it back again in the heart of the midfield. It's Sissoko.
I think you mentioned it, defensive. As soon as it went back to Gunn in goal for Norwich, it passed it back. You just saw how quickly Watford condensed the pitch. The back line was straight away, close up to the halfway line. They're really trying to narrow the distances and really try and push Norwich back and keep it nice and compact and condensed. And you're right, they're able to do that with the new signings. Defensive display make an impact already, and in centre midfield you can see already there's some more stability in a block that Ranieri really wants to protect them, wants that first clean sheet desperately.
You can also see as well in the Norwich side the fact that McLean is fit again, but he didn't get his place back in the side because they got a good result against Everton, and Dean Smith has kept faith with these faithful players like Sorensen in midfield. He's just won that again, just inside this near right hand touchline. We're at the back of the old main stand here, and it's Watford in possession, Karen.
I think you alluded to that with Norwich. He hasn't changed the team other than the goalkeeper, and that's been forced. And last week, you're right, he only had 2 centre midfielders, so had to change it, and it went in his favour. And credit to him. We spoke about momentum, we spoke about confidence. Why change a winning side when they're flying? So he stuck with it. See if they can try and get 2 Premier League wins on a bounce.
And I wonder if he's now got an idea of the 14, 15, 16 players he's now going to trust for the second half of the season to potentially dig Norwich out of trouble, and he will keep faith with them.
There's a massive gap though, that even though the centre-back pairing it is relatively new, they do cross over, and I think if Norwich are smart, Pukki can be in, and I know Ida's had an opportunity, and if they can just find them, they're kind of following players, Watford, and there's gaps coming up right at the back line.
That's the first time this Watford defence would have played together, certainly, and it's a rare start really for Cabaselli. He hasn't featured in the side at all since the 2nd of October, only a third league start for him this campaign, and it's another free kick for Norwich City now, 7 minutes gone. It's a free kick 10 yards in from the left-hand side of the football field and exactly 18 yards inside the Watford half. 3 alternate strips of glass, light and dark green, 6 yards each strip. In comes the free kick to the far side of the penalty area. Another foul given, a push by Grant Hanley, just climbing there on the back of Josh King, I think it was. Free kick to Watford, and a chance for Daniel Batman to get things going once again for them. Enthusiastic crowd here, average around about 20,500. I can't see too many empty seats. Norwich have certainly filled their quota away to the right hand side. Vicarage Road stand to our right, the Rookery away down the left hand side, and then you can see the blocks of the hospital behind the main stands, the floodlights mainly on the roofs of the stands here all around us, and Norwich attack down the far side, their right hand side, and they look for young Ida, who took his goal well at the weekend, his first of the campaign in that very important win against Everton, who could find themselves in trouble at the end of this weekend. It is a significant weekend, I feel. Here's Sargent, back then to young Max Aronson. He's forced another throw in. Norwich as well on the far side, the 21-year-old. Plenty of friends and family here. He comes from this particular parts of the country. He's from Hammersmith in London, and it's going to be a throw then that he will take on the right hand side. Looks for Timu Pukki. Pukki has camera tucked up behind him, still got the cross in. Opportunity here then for either to get a low ball into the penalty area. Lacked support. Actually, Norwich are complaining there that there was a back pass to goalkeeper Backman, the referee has ignored. Not too sure it was, Karen, to be honest.
No, it wasn't, but I think he was actually calling that for a corner. He felt it was, but a good play coming from a throw in. Nice little turn from Pukki, gets into the box, and that's the benefit of having Ida a little bit deeper. When he runs in, he's running off the back shoulders of midfielders, and centre backs aren't picking him up. He had that opportunity, eventually then it came and blocked, and that's what he was calling for about the corner. But it's probably a brighter start. We've seen more of the front two of Norwich than we have of Watford. I mean, I was looking on paper thinking the front three of Watford, Pedro, King and Dennis, especially Dennis, you expect them to probably keep them up with that they're the difference, but I haven't seen enough of them just yet.
Pedro has lost possession for Watford, but it's regained by Musa Sissoko, drives forward in the inside left channel. Across the block comes Sorensen, who got something on it, ricochets then back to Grant Handley, and he pushes it away to Aarons on the right hand side. Good pressure on him by João Pedro, who scored in that very good draw up at Newcastle. 2-2 now. The teenager, the 18-year-old. 5 starts for him this season before tonight, including the last couple. He was signed for the club before he really kicked a ball at first team level. Came from Fluminense in Brazil. Away it goes then by Gibson at the back for Norwich. Drops in the centre of the midfield. Sargent will collect in a diagonal run from right to left with that mop of tousled auburn hair. He plays the ball to the left hand side of midfield and look for the return. Quickly on then by Rashidska. Good run by Sargent. Really criticised for his lack of goals this season. Only has a couple of the USA international. Time for Werder Bremen in the summer, but he does work hard. I've watched him a lot in German football at Werder Bremen, and I thought he'd score more goals in England than he has. Everyone did, to be fair. Here's Aarons. Couple of yards in from the right hand side. Progressive football again by Norwich. They look down that right hand touchline. Look again to get the ball in from Sargent out there, but he's lost possession. It's a poor clearance away, and it comes to Sargent again. A little bit of a trick inside the penalty area. Sets it back, and there's a bending shot. Not bad at all. From just inside the penalty area by Milo Rashidska. Didn't bend enough and went over the bar. Goal kick.
No, you can't be giving the ball away. Sissoko in key areas, playing it out, jumped in and nicked it. Norwich, and then they're on the attack in the 18-yard box. Good play from Sargent, course it back, and tries to pass it out to Rashika. He just tries to bend it in, see what he's trying to do on the inside. They put this pace on the back pass to him, just can't get the accuracy on the finish and not hitting the target. But this will be key tonight. You know, mistakes in key areas, that's a big marker that you cannot do in such a tight game. Can't be giving the ball away in silly areas and giving the opposition those chances.
The problem here, Norwich City, one of their players is down just outside the Watford penalty area. You're seeing a cutaway of Claudio Ranieri, arms across his chest down below us in the big padded coat. Sorensen is down for Norwich City on the far side, getting some treatment on his left calf, I think, from the physio who's out there looking down on him with close attention. Is Pierre-Lys Malou, their summer signing from Nice, who cost £6 million. They didn't splurge the cash when they came up, but they did bring in 11 players in all for nigh on £60 million, balancing the books by sending Buendia out, of course, Aston Villa, and one or two other players out. The net spend was up to 21 in all, 21 million. And no one gave them a chance, but you know, in this little mini league of four at the bottom, and Everton might drop into it, and Leeds aren't clear yet. Brentford could do with some more points. I think they've got hope now if they can get something here, Norwich, and get another couple of positive results in games to come. They go to Wolves in the Cup and have then Crystal Palace at home and Manchester City at home. Good luck with that one, by the way, because Norwich know what happens when they play against Manchester. Mind you, they've had a couple of big results against big teams at Carrow Road, you know, in their various seasons in the top flight.
Who was it when their first game there 2 seasons ago when they first came up? I remember it was a really, when Pookie hit the ground running. It's a terrible question then if it was ages ago, but you're right, they can get results, and you already see confidence in him. You spoke about Sargent earlier. I've seen him a few times this season. He's just lacked confidence. I see a different kind of aura about him tonight. Now I've seen him live. You know, there's a bit more zip, and also in the midfield there's a bit more stability. I think Lys Malou, Sorensen in there, just giving that stability, protecting the back line.
Are you asking me to remember what happened 2 years ago? I can't remember what happened yesterday.
Oh no, sorry.
In towards Cleverley, back to the supporting Dennis, where it goes, Sargent into the heart of midfield. Was that not a City actually they played against early on that season and did well? I can't remember. We'll try and check. George, the producer's hot on it.
George is scrambling, you can see. Come on, George.
Yeah, so expect the news around about June. Now, Femenia on this right-hand side, a yard in support is Cleverley. Cleverley settles on the ball, that familiar mousy sort of shaved head style. Not a good ball in, and Gibson thwacks it away to the halfway line, and swooping to head it forward was Cabaselli. Watford have possession with Edu Kayembe. He was signed from Open in Belgian football for £4.7 million. And not in the African Cup of Nations because they didn't, I don't think they qualified, but anyway, it's Cabaselli now. Big switch of play, right-footed, away towards Penrith, good ball, and he took it neatly with Aarons just behind him. Now it's into the heart of midfield, and Kayembe's there, slips it away to that left-hand side once again. They're about 18 yards from the dead ball, and comes across looking for Dennis at the far post. He rose high, might have fouled his man, yes. A free kick is given as he climbed on that far side and left Brandon Williams on the deck.
It's good play from Watford. They're just trying to stretch and make Norwich run and using the whip to advantage. You see Dennis was hugging this touchline nearest to us on the right hand side, and Pedro on the other side. A big switch out to Pedro, lovely touch as you said. Get to the byline, overlapping from Kamara, cross comes in, and then the opposite wingers coming in. So they're really trying to use the width and get both wingers, full-backs in bowls, because they are quite narrow in how they play Norwich, so you can just try and pull them apart. And Dennis and Brandon Williams will be quite an interesting little battle.
I was right, they did beat Manchester City thanks to George early on in that season, 3-2, but that was a month after they'd beaten Newcastle, which is the game you're talking about, 3-1, and Pookie hat-trick. Pookie hat-trick in that game. He also scored in the game against Manchester City as well.
Well done, George, and it's not June.
I know, he's startled us all there. And it's going to be a throw now to Norwich, far side from me. That's 25 yards out from goal, 16 minutes play. It's Watford 0, Norwich 0. And a draw here would suit the rest of them down the bottom end, that's for certain. The crowd groan as Mike Dean gives a free kick been challenging that hard of the midfield tackle on Lys Malou. But it's been a fairly accomplished start. Not accomplished, but a fairly comfortable start, I would say, by Norwich. He got a goal, Rangers, Sterling, Connie McLaughlin.
It's for the home side. Rangers are ahead. Alexander Lowry, the 18-year-old who's just come on as a substitute, scoring his first goal for Rangers. It was Bakuna who played him on, and he just passed the ball just in the bottom left-hand corner into the back of the net. Rangers 1, Stirling Albion 0.
And in the Scottish Cup, gulf between the two sides in terms of league positions, as Connie was telling us early. So that's earlier on, I should say. So Rangers expected to win that one. Here's Sargent. Neat turn from the American on the far side of the penalty area from us. That was the Norwich right-hand side. It came to nothing in the end. And now cleverly will loop a clearance from Watford from the centre of the midfield to this near side. And Dennis, who's just taken down in rudimentary fashion by Brandon Williams. He's left on the deck. That hurts.
I think he went in to get tight to Dennis. The ball was up in the air, and Dennis just too quick, just a little nick in front of him, and then he's absolutely come in and very, very late. Brandon Williams, very late.
They're on loan from Manchester United, summoned to Mike Dean, and he'll get a little ticking off there. I always think, when referees summon you, but especially Mike Dean, it is like being picked out in front of the rest of the school and summoned by the headmaster towards you. He gives me memories, very bad memories, I'm afraid, of my school days when the headmaster would summon you in that sort of way. And I suppose you were the goody two shoes at school, were you?
No comment. I wasn't. I was usually counting pigeons.
Now Watford have possession down below me, right full-back position, kick off for Menia. And they turn it square from Cabaselli to the left-hand side centre-back, and he loops long away to Dennis, who's okay. That's a lovely ball actually out to him, deep inside Norwich territory, right-hand side, 0-0. Dennis, couple of step-overs, the blue shoes there, blue boots, showing clearly, cleverly with a shot set up by Dennis, playing a deflection. Mike Dean is a corner.
Again, I think this is the battle tonight. Dennis versus Brandon Williams. I really do. I think straight away, get it out to Dennis. He does double step over, draws another player in, because I'm not so sure they're convinced with Brandon Williams at the moment, leaving him 1v1 with him. Drag another player over, and it leaves a gap then for someone else, and that was Tom Cleverley, and gets a left-footed shot. Wasn't convincing on his weaker foot, and he goes out for a corner.
First one of the night for Watford. Just a little concern there for Norwich in that Sorensen was down again, and one of his teammates went towards him. He's picked himself up now. He's marking at the far post on Cabaselli, I think it is. In comes the corner kick now then, low and flat towards the near post, and it's launched away by Aarons, clear towards this near side, and Watford will try and build again and get it back in the middle with Kayembe. Will settle for a throw, taken quickly by Kiko Femenia, who tucks it down the line to Kayembe. Left foot crosses deep towards the far post, and that'll swing away though. Dennis will give chase. Williams was there with him. It just goes away and out of play for a goal kick, and Norwich will settle. Karen, I think you've seen there's going to be a substitution. McLean's going to come on. I think this will be the end of Sorensen.
Yeah. It's a shame he's gone down a couple of times, and I said you get your winning team, you get a bit of momentum, and I spoke about how solid that him and Lys Malou have been in that midfield and just protecting, and they made a change. But look, coming on, he's a very experienced midfielder, very accomplished, and he'll just sit in there, McLean, very well. But it's a shame they've got it for Sorensen.
McLean will come on for him. Missed the game last week, having tested positive, and he comes to that Norwich midfield. Then McLean is on for them. The first change of the game with 20 minutes gone, and we'll tuck straight into that midfield area. The player who turned 30, Scottish player, turned 30 earlier this month, been at Norwich for some 4 years now, joined in January 18 from Aberdeen, and he's just missed that one game in the last 22. He's a regular and gets his first touch on it in that midfield area, Kenny McLean, and rises again to nod it forward into the centre circle. Rashitska was there, but now Watford can bring the ball out of play, out towards that far left-hand side. I'll tell you, he's taken up some good positions for them is Kayembe from the midfield. He's over there in support once again. They couldn't get there, the new side. I think they've made a real difference to them, and the fact that they've allowed Claudio Ranieri to nominate his targets, and they've gone for them. The three of them are playing here today, Camara and Kayembe and Samir Caetano, and I think that's the Watford board need applause for that.
Well, I think he's got a good relationship, Ranieri, with the owners, and I think they, everyone's saying, oh, he's under pressure. He's on other managers in the past. It's just their 7th manager they've been through in quite a short period of time. But I think they obviously know him, they trust him, and like you said, he's been given players he needs. Look, the facts are they haven't kept a clean sheet in the Premier League, so they need defensive-minded players, and that's what they've been able to bring in.
João Pedro in behind the Norwich defence. Williams comes back, good challenge on him. It's going to be a corner kick to the right hand side. We've got a goal, Rangers against Stirling Albion. Let's go back up to Connie McLaughlin.
No major surprises. There's another goal for Rangers, this time from the penalty spot after the referee had deemed there to be a handball in the Stirling Albion back line. James Tavernier, as he usually does, converts the penalty. Rangers 2, Stirling Albion 0.
Job done? Well, you never know. It's going to be a corner kick then to Watford, taken by Cleverley into the edge of the 6-yard area, and coming to meet it in there was João Pedro. He twisted his head. He's a tall young man out there, 6'1", 6'2", I would guess. Twisted his head, won it, but headed way over the bar.
Just seen that. I don't think it is because of the corner, but they had time to change. But João Pedro has now come to the right hand side, and Dennis has gone to the left hand side. So João Pedro will be against Williams. Dennis will be 1v1 against Max Aarons.
McLean slid in, won it for Norwich, punched it into the Watford half, and determined defending back in there by Cavaselli, but the referee's already seen something else. They're giving a free kick here to Norwich. Initially he tried to allow play to go on, and then was pulled it back then, so it's a free kick 3 yards in from this left hand side. It's 10 yards inside the Watford half.
I think it was, sorry JP, I think it was a foul on he'd been pulled down, and then it played on, and there would have been a foul on Cavaselli, but he's pulled it back for the first foul in favour of Norwich.
Well, he's a target in there, isn't he, Adam Ida, the 6'3" court-born Republic of Ireland international. Jinx to come short, then goes long, but it is hit away towards the far side, way away from Ahmed. He's run sort of inside the left position. It was launched diagonally across the far side of the penalty. It comes to nothing. Both sides now a bit harum-scarum. The game started okay in terms of pace, but it's got a little bit frenetic, a little bit frantic now.
There's no quality really, or no control, but look, you could expect that given what's at stake given this game. So at some point we need one of the midfielders to get a grip, but I don't think that's the style of either of them at this moment.
It's a free kick to Watford. Rashidska jumped into his man and left Femenia on the ground. We've got a penalty at Ibrox, Connie.
We have. It's just been saved by the Stirling Albion goalkeeper. James Tavernier again, the man who is always on penalties for Rangers, was just about to take his second in about 3 or 4 minutes. He decided to go the other way this time, and the keeper was wise to it. So it's still Rangers 2, Stirling Albion 0 in the Scottish Cup.
Thank you very much. 25 minutes gone here at Vicarage Road, and it's 0-0 between these two sides. Coming up on 5 Live this weekend. Tomorrow, Manchester United against West Ham United with Ian Dennis and Pat Nevin, and the normal score service. You'll hear first and fastest the goals as they go in around the country on Sunday. Crystal Palace against Liverpool. Conor McNamara and Glenn Murray's on duty for us tonight as well. You'll hear him at half-time. Chelsea against Spurs with Johnny Murray, and Matt Upson is at 4:30 on Sunday. Big game that, in the chase for European positions. If we are assuming that the chase for the Premier League title is all but done and dusted, but Liverpool will say that's not the case, and Chelsea fans will live in hope. They'll have to do better than they did at Brighton the other night, though, when Brighton deserved to beat them, and that's twice this season Brighton, I think, have deserved to beat Chelsea, and they haven't. And what is that, 11 draws now for Brighton? If you actually say, right, if they'd have won half of those games, they'd be a top 5 side this season. That's a foul inside the penalty area as Josh King just backed into Hanley as he was looking to receive a throw from the left hand side. Good noise from the Norwich fans away to our right hand side, Karen.
Yeah, coming good force and good numbers, trying to get a players up, but at the moment it is kind of a bit of head tennis. Not like I said, neither team's got rhythm, neither team has got it down. I know that since Ranieri's come in, they're probably a little bit less possession based and more pressing from the front and trying forcing errors. But not even from a Norwich perspective, I haven't seen anyone really get a grip of the game. Maybe McLean coming in might put an impact on that.
7 points in 12 games under Claudio Ranieri, same number as Xisco Nino's got at the start of the season, and then got the boot. And it's a scrambly sort of clearance away by Watford, trying to play their way out of trouble, but the referee Mike Dean has given them a hand by giving them a free kick for a challenge on camera just inside his penalty. Had to react very, very quickly actually, the French-born Ivorian international, because the ball's angled out to him by Daniel Backman. He was put into a little bit of bother there.
I think that's why the momentum keeps stopping, JP. There's a lot of fouls and it's really like stifling the play, and it's like, right, we get going, foul, get going, throw in, and it just seems like they just want to stifle each other's rhythm at the moment and wait for that one mistake or that bit of brilliance, and who is that going to be?
McLean headed it square deep inside the Norwich half, and it's looped forward by Lys Malou. Norwich trying to get Ida going on that left hand side, but he can't. It's going to be a throw then to Watford, and it'll be taken by Hassan Kamara, who has looked fairly impressive here on his home debut. Saw him a fair amount last season playing for Nice. He was only at Nice for a year, and I have to say he didn't stand out as a player. You'd think, well, he'll be immediately successful in the Premier League, but he started well against Newcastle, and he started well here tonight. João Pedro, who Watford lost it in the lights, and Williams is challenged by Cleverley, tripped, no free kick given. João Pedro races away inside right position to the edge of the penalty area, plays it square. Sissoko arrives, the shot was deflected, blocked I think by Hanley, and breaks away to the heart of midfield, but they haven't won it there again with Rashica, so Norwich can come again, and King tries to plant a shot that deflects away off Hanley and spins to the right hand side, loops away to João Pedro, the header into Cleverley, and nods it wide to Kiko Femenia. The momentum is building, header away by Aarons on the far side of the penalty. Watford look to go again, and Sargent bangs a clearance 80 yards, 90 yards deep into Watford territory, all the way back to their penalty area, and it's collected on 5 live by Backman, and the crowd stirs because Watford there put together a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, but I think what they did is they got it to the most eye-catching players and dribblers, and what they do is they draw 2 players over, and that was João Pedro draws 2 players over, and it leaves again Sissoko or someone else in the midfield spare, and they can get the shot off. But Hanley made 2 good blocks.
Quality ball by Cleverley away towards the left-hand side for Watford. Camera onto the feet of Kayembe, finds Camera again. This time the cross is blocked by Aarons, comes back to Kayembe, stocky midfielder, out towards the left-hand touch. And can they get the cross from that far side into the penalty area? King is in the penalty area, Pedro is into the penalty. The cross was whipped in and headed away by Kenny McLean, and Norwich try to reorganise to meet the second ball as it comes in on 5 live, approaching the half hour now on the BBC. 0-0 here at Vicarage Road. Kayembe for Watford away towards the left-hand side. They look to get the cross in again from that far side of the penalty area. They tried to just work it into the box. It came to nothing in the end. They tried to slip it into the edge of the Norwich box. It was blocked by Aarons, and it will be cleared away. Dennis was the man who was trying to slip it in from that far side.
Yeah, I think Dennis there, can he be brave? I know he's on that left hand side, he wants to come in on his right foot, but can he get to the byline? Because when you come in as a wide player, you're running actually into bodies, because that's where all the Norwich players are. Go 1v1 and take him on the outside.
Well, Brandon Williams has brought the ball out for Norwich. Thought he was fouled. I don't think he was. He went to the ground, groaned at the referee. Meanwhile, Watford are attacking on their far side from us. That's their left. There's Dennis, out wide to the left-hand touchline. Kayembe now has it. He's got about 2 or 3 yards of space. Could turn it back to Sissoko. Works it away towards the left-hand side. Can they get the cross in from that far side? You've got Kamara into the penalty area. On the left, it's switched by João Pedro. Good ball away then to Kiko Femenia. Right hand side, darts the cross into the middle. Looking at Cleverley, who made the run to the near post. And it's a stooping header away by Ben Gibson in the corner kick. And Watford are getting on top, Cara.
Yeah, momentum's building now. Like you said, they're just shifting it from left to right, getting the wide players involved, full-backs. Then he's looking really bright. Pedro as well, João Pedro, and getting Femenia forward, full-back supporting them and getting crosses into the box. And what it's doing, it's pinning Norwich back and forcing them to defend. And I don't think they can get out and protect the wide areas as comfortably as they would wish.
The worst defence in the top flight. Norwich conceded 25 goals. And Watford looking for their 100th Premier League goal. with a header from Cavaselli straight at the keeper from the resulting corner.
Cavaselli would be disappointed there because the corner came in out swinging from Cleverley and he was free 8 yards out, but there wasn't enough pace on the delivery really for him to get the power that he really wanted. It was a comfortable save then from Gunn and goal.
Half-time, Rangers, Sterling and the Scottish Cup. Connie McLaughlin.
Yeah, Rangers in control of this one. They're 2 goals to the good, and what a moment for 18-year-old Alex Lowry. Came on as a sub for the injured Hadji and grabbed his first goal in the first 3 minutes of being on. James Savary made it 2 from the penalty spot, but failed to convert another one a few minutes later. It is only 2, but Rangers comfortable and edging closer to the Scottish Cup 5th round. Rangers 2, Stirling Albion 0 at half-time.
Thank you very much. Watford on the attack down the right-hand side with Josh King. He's got Sissoko in support. Norwich with 5-6 the orange shirts back inside their own penalties. Orange, or is it pink? Well, anyway, Watford build on their left. Here's Cleverley, who's dropped across. They covered a lot of ground to get out there, actually, with Cameron. Here's Dennis, deep. 10 yards outside the penalty area, coming in from the left-hand side. He's clipped there by Lise Malone. It's a free kick. Is that orange or is that pink? That's Norwich strip.
It's like salmon colour, I think.
Fluorescent, isn't it?
I don't know. It's bright, that's what it is.
It's hideous.
Right, no, I was just going to say that there is a problem for Norwich defending the wide areas. They really are really narrow, and when it gets switched out, and that's what they're doing really well now. Firmini's coming out as a right back, pushing on. Kamara is as well, and they're getting width, and then the two wide players are coming in a bit narrow, and they don't know what to do. Norwich don't know how to defend it.
Free kick. Cleverley takes it right-footed all the way through. That's really disappointing. And it's 0-0. Given that Watford are the home side, given they probably have more of the ball, Norwich aren't doing badly at all, but they've given that away. Had his ball out of defence, bypassed McLean, who turned and looked in exasperated fashion at the youngster because he's conceded possession. And now Kayembe to the left, pushed on down that line by Camera. Got a chance for Dennis to get the cross, and looks for the run there of Kayembe, and the low flashing cross dealt with inside that penalty area by young Gunn.
That's exactly what they need to do. I kept saying getting out wide areas, but they've got to get to the byline a little bit, and fair play to him there, getting it out wide, I think it was Kamara actually was ghosting in, and he got the crossing. It was a low cross driven across. He was thinking someone get in and get a tap in, but we've got to keep penetrating the byline, and then that's where the weakness is for Norwich.
Josh King has left a foot in on Gibson. It's a free kick to Norwich, deep inside their own territory. Watford 0, Norwich 0. We've been playing some 34 minutes at Vicarage Road, no goals. One worthy attempt on goal for the home side, the Cavaselli header saved, and at the other end Timo Pukki had an effort that flashed over.
I think he's just taking his time there.
Or rather it was Rashitsko, wasn't it, who had the shot over.
So I'm just
he's okay.
Seeing that Gibson's taking his time, and I think it's actually to give Norwich a little bit of a breather, regroup. I saw Craig Shakespeare there getting some information on Norwich assistant to McLean, saying, look, I just need you to sit. You need to sit with Lise Malou and just protect us and just get us a little bit more back into this game.
Playing with Dean Smith from Aston Villa, did Craig Shakespeare. Sent it away from the heart of the midfield by Kayembe. Rashitska on the left-hand side for Norwich, no way through for him. Now João Pedro, promising run on the halfway line. Burst between 2 Norwich players. King brings it down, all of it scrappy to go the whole of the challenge of Williams. It's splashed square by Kayembe, looking at the pace of Dennis. Max Aaron's hesitant, didn't go for the ball. He made to pay for that. Here comes Camera on the overlap, little chip into the middle. Gibson headed it away, back to Dennis on the edge of the penalty area, and he's fouled it. Free kick, no need to foul there. A free kick for the challenge, and he's left one of the Norwich players writhing in pain. Pierre-Lise Malou it is. It's a free kick.
They're saying he jumped in there, JP. Norwich players are going around saying he jumped in, and they're looking for a little bit more.
There's a yellow card going to come out for Dennis. This may well be checked by VAR. VAR is tonight. John Brooks, I think it is. And certainly Pierre-Lise Malou was caught there. Let's have a look at it again, Karen. Comes away from Dennis's challenge.
I think they're saying that I need to see. To be fair, I think Lise Malou has gone in more aggressive and he's come out worse. I think they've gone in. I think he's tried to jump on top of it. So I think Lise Malou is even lucky that he's come off worse. but his intent, I don't know why you're jumping in like that.
He's jumped in two-footed.
Jumped in two-footed and high.
Dennis definitely got a yellow card. But looking at that again, we're a long way away from it. We've seen one replay here. I think he's a little bit hard done by the Watford player, do you not?
No, I completely agree, because I think I'm trying to think why you would do that, Lys Malou, because you don't jump in two-footed over the ball. It's so risky. He's lucky there, and you're right, I feel for Dennis.
Lucky enough to be working alongside Karen Carney again, having been lucky enough to commentate on so many occasions for the Lionesses over the years. Qualification for Canada in 2015. Some games where you didn't even get the opposition lineups until 2 minutes before the game kicked off. I remember going down the...
Nor did we.
I remember going down the tunnel at Portsmouth pretending to be a match official to get the team that day of the opposition. There's another yellow card here, and it's getting a wee bit heated, Karen, as foul this time was McLean. Was it on Cleverly?
Yeah, again it was high. I think McLean saying Cleverly made the most of it, but again you go in high, you leave yourself risky. Balls up, it just caught him. I think Lys Malou was a lot worse personally, but the referee, I think now he's just trying to take control of it, because it's a little bit wild, I'd say.
His players need to calm down a little bit. Dennis in the court in the book for Watford, not for the first time this season actually. He does that against his character. 7 yellows he's had now. It's just missed time challenges, I think. Here he is. He's such a very promising first season for them. Pulls it back. Kayembe, central midfield, wriggles away, shimmies away from Pierre. Lys Malou finds the left-hand touchline again. Dennis is coming off that line. It was Camera, the left full-back, hugging the line, and now Sissoko as Kayembe slips the ball for him. Sissoko finds Dennis, goes down inside the penalty area. Now he's got to watch it because he twisted away from the defender. I don't think there was contact on him. He's gone down, and Mike Dean cautioned him a few moments ago. He's got to watch it because I don't think there's anyone around him when he went to ground.
Well, I think he had a loose touch, and then it went through, and he's got away from him, and I think he just fell. I don't think the referee was saying anything to him. I don't think he was making anything of it. I think he just fell actually, but it was a good build-up play from Watford, and where it's coming from is a switch of flanks. Dennis has gone onto that left-hand side, Pedro's on his right-hand side, and they're coming in narrow, and the full-backs are overloading, and even Kamara's overloading. They're just really trying to put numbers down the side for Norwich, and they just can't cope at the moment. But
6 minutes to go in the half, and they're knocking on the door. Watford 0-0 against Norwich. The game of such importance. Watford could close to within 2 points of Everton, but not like that they won't. Femenea gave it away with a ball from right to left. Timo Pukki, hardly seen him really, backtrack inside his own half to win the ball. He carried away towards the left-hand side. Drew a challenge by King, and drew a foul, although Josh King bounces the ball in frustration. Right here in front of the two sets of managers, it's a free kick to Norwich.
I thought he got the ball, JP, personally. I really do. I thought Pukki did get away from him, and you're thinking, right, don't dive in because it could be, but I think he made contact with the ball, and I think the referee was already committed to it. You see Ranieri's not happy about it, and completely agree.
Williams swing to that Attilide on the edge of that Watford penalty area, but the home side cleared away. Now McLean, tidy ball, first time back into his own half, handily pursued by João Pedro, has to find the goalkeeper, and Gunn loops it away towards the left hand side. Away and out of play with 5 minutes to go, 5 live from the BBC, and it's Watford 0, Norwich 0. If it stays like this, and Newcastle United and Burnley will be saying thank you very much, and Everton too, because they're breathing a little bit heavily, as we know. Big Duncan Ferguson in charge for the visit of the Villa tomorrow. Steven Gerrard back on Merseyside as the manager of Aston Villa. Now Sissoko has turned goal side here of Lys Malou, and in support he finds Kayembe. Nice little chip away to the left hand side of the penalty area. Dennis has gone out there, low cross into the middle, and Gibson readjusted his feet, cleared it down to the penalty, and Lys Malou looped the clearance only as far as the Watford player. I thought the pressure was going to come back on them. It hasn't. Norwich regained possession. Look for Pukki. Pukki inside left position. Has a little bit of space now to try and create something. Pulls it away towards Rashitska on the left touchline, and as he goes to run beyond Femenea, he goes to ground. No free kick given. Fullback did his job. Goal kick.
There's two things in that. In terms of Norwich defensively and how that attack started for Watford, is Dennis is causing Aaron's problems and he's following him, and he went infield and there was a massive gap and Sissoko broke into that, but they sorted it out. Eventually then Watford are going on the counter-attack, but fair play to him. Kiembe, really, really key. His positional sense, just to slow it down, calm it down, nullify the counter-attack, and Norwich was really good. There's just a couple of two tactical things from either side there, but Norwich have really got to box smart with the wide players of Watford, because they are causing them some problems.
Sergeant Rose in the air with Dennis. The ball has gone beyond them from the keeper's clear out. It'll be a throw to Norwich City. And this change strip, the fluorescent change strip. Look up front, they don't hold it up at all well there, Norwich. So Watford can bring it out once again. Centre circle, they turn to the right hand side. Kiko Femenia with his orange boots, untidy ball, didn't look after possession at all, gives it away to Timo Pukki. Sort of pass from a player that absolutely enrages coaches. Really sloppy in
I don't
possession.
think he's got any options though there, JP, where Ida's running away from him and actually needs him to come to feet. Give him a little bounce pass and then build and go again. He ran away and gave him, and there was no connection either. So I agree, the pass was poor from Pukki.
I meant the pass from Femenia.
Sorry.
He looked down the right hand side. It's headed away by McLean for Norwich City. He's been their best midfield player since he came on. Turns it back now to Lise Malou, and Williams chips up into the Watford half. Rashitska heads on, and again it comes to a yellow shirt of Kiko Femenia. Turns it to the left hand side, and one of the new boys is there. Camera to Dennis, halfway line, far side from us. The Watford right tries to go beyond his man, can't do so. Sargent for Norwich down the line looking for Aarons, and the camera, that's a good turn of speed by him. Got there first, now down by the corner flag, and place percentages lumps it against Aarons, and that'll be a throw in. The ball slips away between the Graham Taylor stand and the Rookery, down below the TV studio on the far side with its glass front, and it'll be a throw then to Watford across there. Two yo-yo clubs in Premier League football, up and down to the Championship on a regular basis. Just the battle to stay in the top flight. Not decisive, not must win, but it would certainly help not to lose. That's a full header down there by Hanley on the halfway line, and Watford might profit yet. Cleverly trying to get onto the pass by Dennis, who's, I think he was kicked off and the ball had gone there, No free kick given. He looks across to Mike Dean, the referee, and Norwich have it once again at 0-0, and we're into the last minute of play in that first half now. I've had a couple of cautions, won't be that much of stoppage time. Williams for Norwich coming in off the left hand side, pressurised by João Pedro. Lise Malou glares at the Manchester United loanee. Didn't get the ball forward quick enough perhaps there. There was nothing on for him at all, Karen.
Yeah, I think that's what we're shouting at Ida there. Give me a run, either come to feet or running behind. Don't just stand there and be an effective locker mannequin. I need something from you. And had to take another touch, and Rookie wasn't dispossessed.
Cleverly for Norwich, heads up towards Josh King. Grant Hanley was too strong for him, and then reaches for a loose ball and hammers it high, right-footed volleyed clearance to the halfway line with Watford picking up again. Sissoko, canny signing really from Tottenham. He wasn't everyone's favourite as a Tottenham Hotspur player, given the quality of the midfield players they've had in the years gone by, but he played over 200 games for them, and a wily signing by Watford to try and keep them up. 2 minutes of stoppage time being played here. It's 0-0. It'll be a throw to Watford down to our right hand side. Femenia will take it. Will be the movement towards him by João Pedro, who takes it again. The back heel sends him away from Williams into the penalty area. Jinks to his left and then poked the shot straight at the goalkeeper when he had options to his left hand side.
I don't know, it's brilliant bit of skill from João Pedro. Got away from 2-3 players. I mean, him and Josh King are now having arguments because King's saying you should have passed it. But initially, what I love about João Pedro is his wingers getting involved in the box. Wide players, they're getting in there. It's difficult. And I actually felt if it had gone down, I think he would have won a penalty because there was 2 nibbles at him. And fair play to him, he stood up and went past both those nibbles to try and bring him down. And then toe poked at the end product wasn't quite there. But he's so graceful on the ball, isn't he?
I think Rangers tune up against Sterling Albion. And Alex Lowry getting the first, and James Tavernier from the penalty spot getting the second. He then squandered another chance from the spot moments later. And then Williams will take a throw for Norwich City on their left, just inside the Watford half. Down the line it goes. It's headed infield by Kiko Femenia, and then cleverly tried to get it away. Block challenge by Williams. The ball scoots back to Cleverly, and left-footed he scoops it over the top for the run on here. Josh King. He's got Dennis coming on the far side. Sissoko in support. King looks for Sissoko. The ball played in at pace for the runner in the penalty area, Sissoko. I'm not too sure whether King was expecting it to go on to Dennis, who applauds the intention. But anyway, it's scooted away for a goal kick to Norwich City.
There's the counter-attacking threat that these three were so worried about. Balling behind, you see Josh King running onto it. Norwich out of sorts, driving in. He just pick out a good decision, King. Pick out a right one. And to be fair, Sissoko's running in unmarked, but King's absolutely rocketed it across the box, and it's hard for him with his left foot to get the connection, and went out for a goal kick.
So no goals at Vicarage Road. Precious few chances. A disjointed first half, not as rhythmic as our dancing I felt before the game. Thanks very much, Darren. Here we are then, as Mike Dean, the referee, just checks with the fourth official, his assistants, the two goalkeepers, and off we go with Watford in their yellow shirts with the black boots and the black socks and the yellow black shorts and the yellow socks, kicking from right to left in this second half. 0-0 at one or two moments. Cavaselli with a header that was saved. João Pedro jinking run, shot that was easily saved. At the other end, Norwich City have offered very, very little in terms of attacking football. They haven't had a shot that's caused any bother to Daniel Bachmann in that Norwich goal, absolutely at all. And Kayembe, one of the new boys for Watford, on the attack straight away, out towards Kiko Femenia, tries to pass the ball down the line to King. It's the throw to Norwich City in their fluorescent change strip. But the Watford side is Bachmann in goal, Femenia, Cavaselli, Samir Caetano and Hassan Kamara. And then in midfield, Eric Kayembe, Tom Cleverly and Moussa Sissoko, with up front João Pedro on the right, Dennis on the left, and Josh King through the middle. Pedro has made a run to the edge of the Norwich penalty area. The ball is overstruck and through to Angus Gunn. Only a fifth appearance for him in goal. The Norwich lineup: Gunn then with Aarons, Hanley, Gibson and Williams. A midfield three now of Lys Malou, a midfield four, I should say. Sargent on the right hand side, Lys Malou, McLean, who came on as a substitute, and Rashidska with Pukki and Ida up front. And meanwhile, it's Watford on the attack. The ball is pulled back to João Pedro on the edge of the penalty area. After good work by Sissoko, just leaning off a little bit, and he shot over, but it was a rasping drive.
Yeah, great run from Sissoko. Just bullied his way through, just nudged up, tried to tackle him, absolutely not. Gets in there, nice little tight turn, and then finds João Pedro, as you said, and nice rocketed left foot, but the shot was always rising and never really causing massive problem to Gunn. But I was just saying actually though, JP, that Dennis has now actually gone to the centre forward role, and actually Josh King has gone to the right hand side and João Pedro's on the left, so they keep chopping and changing his front three and rotating, and they feel like Dennis is the one to go now up top and see what Josh King can do from the right hand side.
When they played so very, very well here against, it has to be said, a very poor Manchester United side that day, and they won the game convincingly. They had King on the left hand side, so they do vary it, Watford, this season. We've got a goal, Rangers against Stirling Albion in the Scottish Cup, and Connie McLaughlin.
It's the third goal for Rangers and the fifth goal for Cedric Itten. His first goal and his first start, incidentally, since coming back to Rangers from that unsuccessful loan move in Germany. Edging closer, Rangers, after the fifth round of the Scottish Cup. It's Rangers 3, Stirling Albion 0.
Thanks very much, Connie. No goals here. 2.5 minutes played in the second half on 5 Live. The start of a very big weekend of live football for you. And the ball will be cleared away by the Watford keeper Bachmann. That's an awful clearance, just skied it up into the air, and it has to be cleared away by Kayembe. Shaven head, he's got a little tufty sort of a mohawk on, and he's got the white boots as he charges down on this near side and tries to regain possession for Watford. We've conceded a free kick. Hassan Kamara got too tight then on Aarons, who was going nowhere. It's a free kick. Aarons goes to take the free kick quickly. João Pedro hadn't retreated because he had no time to retreat. Referee just says, calm down, take the free kick. Again, it's no more than 6 inches in from the right-hand touchline, 12 yards inside the Watford half. right hand side, 3.5 minutes gone in the second half. Forward it goes to the edge of the penalty area, headed away back there by Samir Caetano, one of their new signings. I haven't mentioned him so far. Came from Udinese for £5 million. Links between the two clubs, of course. And he's been steady at the back for them again today. The ball is cleared by Watford, comes to McLean, Norwich's best player since he came on, into the penalty area, an aggressive run. He's kept the ball in play. Pukki is nearly there. He tries to turn away from his man and force a corner kick off Kabasele. It doesn't work, and it's just a goal kick. But a lovely driving run there by Kenny McLean, Karen.
Yeah, straight away just bursting forward, committed, driving in there, and like I always say, people are scared to touch you when you're in the penalty area, and gets through and just trying to find Pukki, but just didn't fall to him, and then kind of cleared and ricocheted back off Pukki and out for a goal kick.
Really important game for both of these two clubs. Watford on the attack. João Pedro to the left-hand side. This new fullback, Camara, advancing against Aarons, who won it, and then Camara pulled him back. Let me remind you the situation at the bottom of the Premier League. Everton at 16th on 19 points from 19 games. Watford a position below them, 14 points from 19. Norwich 13 points from 21. Newcastle 12 points from 20. And Burnley 11 points from 17. You can't really gauge Burnley because they've got so many games in hand due to the COVID postponements. But Chris Wood has gone, and he had that clause, didn't he, that allowed him to go if someone came in with a big money move, went up to Newcastle United. And they are the bottom two at the moment, Newcastle and Burnley. I think there's goals in this Watford side, and you've seen precious few goals from Norwich on their away troubles. There were scorers in the division away, but Pukki has put pressure there on Kabasele and looks with a return ball into the box, played by McLean. Just too far for him. He's kept it in with a rumbustious challenge. Pulls it square. Oh, it's off the bar. Wow. It's bounced down from Sargent, and the goal is given. Well, he had to improvise in the middle to sort of reach for the cross ball, back by Pukki. Mike Dean signals his watch. The beeper went off. It crossed the line, and Norwich are ahead of Watford.
Wow, what a finish from Sargent, by the way. The cross came into him, and he's kind of, the ball's behind him, and he sticks out his leg, and it comes off the back, and he's just trying to hook it in with his right foot. The outside of it, outside hook in, comes off the crossbar, as you said, but it's a brilliant finish. There is arguments that there was a foul that was won. Pukki won the ball back, and the same was a push on the defender, and that's how Pukki crossed it in, and that's where Sargent got the goal from. But the referee thought no foul, but it was brilliant from Norwich. They were pressing, they were aggressive. McLean, as you said, came on, won it, driving through. His pass wasn't great out to Pukki, made something of it, and then puts in a great run, and no one's picking up. Sargent, he runs in, goes in on the 6-yard line unopposed, and then that acrobatic finish.
Well, it is being checked by VAR for a possible foul by Teemu Pukki on Samir as he tried to guide the ball out of play, the Watford new signing. Pukki then cut it back, and Sargent with a sort of semi-scorpion kick in the middle. If you ever got your Scorcher and Score comic all those years ago, bit of a flintlock flick, you might remember him. The VAR is checking this for a possible foul by Teemu Pukki. Though the Norwich joy might be short-lived. What do you think, Karen, looking at the little screen here?
Well, in actual play, I actually thought it was a foul. That was my initial gut. But the referee got nothing of it, and he's given it, and he's stuck with it.
Norwich lead, and the young man who has been so heavily criticised this season for his lack of goals, remember he's only 20, the boy from Missouri, scores the goal for Norwich. Josh Sargent, he was a decent goal scorer at Werder Bremen, if not spectacular, but that is a very important goal, and his first since he netted against Bournemouth back in August in the League Cup.
You know what, JP, I wonder, was the official, the referee was adamant, he didn't even go over and have a look at it. He was pretty convinced it wasn't, and the official was very, very close to it on the side as well and gave no foul, so they overran it. But now, what have you got? What response have you got now, Watford? How are you going to come back from this?
His first Premier League goal, and he had to improvise to score it, and it was a tidy finish, really was. Twisted his right heel back and flicked it in off the underside of the bar. 53 minutes gone. This would be a mighty, mighty win for Norwich, and they're not sitting back on it. Rashitska to McLean and try to force it through the middle. Now, one of the Watford defenders has gone down. Cabaselli holding his face there. The nearest man to him was Ida, but the referee said go on. Rashitska tries to get it beyond the Watford right back on the far side from us there left, and the ball is eventually clumped out so they can get some treatment on here to Cabaselli.
It's been a clear shift since the second half. Dean Smith's said to his Norwich team, you know what, get out there, be a bit more aggressive. And McLean's been the one that's front-footed with that. Pookie as well, Ida. It's definitely been a shift.
Well, as Cabaselli went to clear the ball as he was running, so Ida came across his running line and there was contact, but there's no fault on the Norwich player. Cabaselli took it around about low right hand cheek, I think, but there was not a great deal in it for me whatsoever. And so unfortunate, hasn't played since October. The DR Congo born Belgian international, was in the squad at Euro 16. Career hasn't really kicked on in England as they thought it would when they signed him from Genk that summer. And I think he'll be okay after a little bit of treatment, but he's come towards this near touchline. USA, USA, USA is the call for the Norwich fans in celebration of young Josh Sargent and his goal. And if it proves to be the goal that eventually keeps them up, they'll be celebrating with the stars and stripes being unfurled, I would imagine, at Carrow Road for the boy from O'Fallon, Missouri, from the St. Louis Scott Gallagher Academy, came to Europe with Werder Bremen. Watford try and get things going again. Sargent closes down on Sissoko, rolls away from him and plays the ball right-footed 10-15 yards across the centre of the field away towards the right-hand side. Now it's Kayembe. Big expansive switch of play to João Pedro, who's been bright for Watford. Tries to flick it through two players, Sargent back covering with Aarons. They are working really, really hard. This is the work rate, the ethic they were missing at the start of the season. And things went well, heads went down and stooped shoulders, heart went out of the side, and too often they accepted defeat too readily. Now Dean Smith has a different sort of Norwich for the second half of the season. Makes things very, very interesting down at the bottom.
They've got something to hold on for now though, JP. When you're 1-0 up, that confidence goes through you. They're a bit more, like I keep saying, they're putting Watford under pressure.
Here come Watford down the right hand side. It's played in by Josh King looking for Dennis, but back to cover comes Pierre-Louis Malou. He swivels and left-footed hoiks it up to the halfway line where Pookie tries to hold it up. He's done enough, and it's a throw to Norwich on that far side. The one-away win for them this season came at Brentford, but they've had very few reasons to cheer on their travels. Point at Newcastle United, and because they had those defeats at home to Tottenham, away at Tottenham, at home to Manchester United, at home to the Villa and away, and at home against Arsenal when they were thrashed 5-0, everyone said they've got no chance. Then they won at Charlton in the Cup. Yes, they were beaten in that midweek game against West Ham United, which I think was harsh on both sides having to play that midweek game at that time. But the win against Charlton perked them up. The win against Everton has given them bounce. And they lead here at Watford on 5 Live from the BBC with 12 minutes gone in the second half by a goal to nil. Willis stroked into Sissoko, holds it up, back to goal, swings a lovely ball away from right to left to João Pedro, 30 yards away, left hand corner of the box, bends across him, Brandon Williams stoops to head it away, only as far as Kayembe, the ball slipped away from him, just perhaps beginning to labour a little bit now, is Edo Kayembe in that midfield area, in his second game for the club. Someone needs to bring the ball down. Game of aerial tennis developed. It's lobbed up again then by Lys Malou out towards the Norwich right hand side where Samir is judged to have fouled his man who's stayed down below us, Milo Rashitska. And it'll be a free kick to Norwich City.
I must say, Lys Malou's impressed me tonight. Just, I know the first half he started with Sorensen and McLean came on quite early as well, but he's just so good in terms of his back line. Just high-fived him there, Gibson and Hanley, because he made that recovery run because he knew how dangerous it was for Watford on the attack, and he got in there and did the work that probably not everyone wants to do. He's been very impressive in possession as well, just kept it simple.
A change here for the home side. Victor Hernandez has come on to replace Tom Cleverley 2 minutes shy of the hour. attacking change then. The Colombian player has come on, can play in wide positions, can go through the middle. He's gone through the middle now with Dennis and João Pedro on the right hand side and King on the left, and it's an adventurous front four, but it leaves them open in other areas of the game. The wide players will have to drop back, tuck in, and I'm not too sure if João Pedro or indeed Josh King are those sort of players. We'll wait and see. The ball is launched long by Norwich, and underneath it, a little bit hesitant, was Cabaselli. He swings the right foot at it, hoists it over his own shoulder, then comes to meet the second ball and headed away to King, just shy of the halfway line. Back it goes to Femenia, right foot bending ball inside right channel, and across to scuttle and clear goes Ben Gibson. And Norwich have dealt with that adequately, and then they were a little bit hesitant, and Hanley had to rush to clear it to Sargent. Sargent crossing the field from left to right. It's a bright run from him. He nudges it forward, looking for Rashitska. They get in behind Kiko Femenia, who stuck out a foot, the Spanish right back, and played it to his keeper. Backman's clearance not accepted by the flag. Oh, we've got a floodlight problem. The floodlights have flickered and dipped, and Mike Dean's going to have to stop this. They haven't got out. We've certainly lost floodlight power. The floodlights in the corners of the ground look to be on half power to me. They are.
Sorry, everyone's getting their phone lights out.
Yeah, Graham Taylor's down. A few lower tier supporters have got their phones, and now they're spreading around the crowd. An hour played, Watford 0, Norwich City 1, and the Norwich fans have got all their phone lights on now to add a little hand to the situation. We've got a delay in play on 5 Live as they try and sort out this situation.
Just thinking that Watford have gone.
Hey, I still miss Robot Wars.
Thank you very much. Have you heard that? Fan saying he still misses Robot Wars, so do I. I missed the check, to be fair, Karen. There you are. It's a lovely programme to work on.
No, I was just saying that with Hernandez coming on, they've gone to a 4-4-2, Watford. Hernandez up top and Dennis was up there with him, and they'll go into a front four when they're in that attack, and there'll be a 4-4-2 in defence, but got to be a little bit more aggressive, because realistically, has Gunn done anything? I don't think he really has. Like, despite the possession, despite the threat, especially in the first half, they haven't really caused him any issues, and that's where they've got to get back now. They need a response, and look, you can say Norwich growing in confidence, and Sargent as well. He's driving, running away from players, chopping the ball. It's amazing what a goal or a win from last week can do to a side's confidence and individuals as well.
Just a reminder, you'll get all the reaction to this game on the Football Daily podcast, so make sure you subscribe to that on BBC Sounds. So much you can get on BBC Sounds, it's brilliant really. New episode dropping every morning into your inbox, and while you're on the Sounds app you can check out the Fantasy 606 podcast with Alistair Bruce Ball, who's very, very good at fantasy football, Chris Sutton, who's very, very bad at fantasy football, and Statman Dave to get the very best fantasy football knowledge. But as I say, expect that from ABB. Do not expect it from the big man from Chelsea and Blackburn and Celtic in Scotland. And I think he'll admit that himself really. But 62 minutes gone. You'll have me for that, won't he, now, next time we work together. We've not got the lights going back on here, Karen, and Mike Dean is down there talking with the stadium official. Well, this would be horrible for Norwich if they can't continue and the game has to go. Could they continue in this light? Do you think it's half floodlight power?
I don't think it's that bad. I mean, it's gone down. Obviously, it's not as bright as it was, but the players were playing on. They didn't seem to be too affected, so...
Yeah. But the floodlight systems around the country this season are so fantastic compared to what they used to be. They've had to improve them all because of high resolution TV coverage, and this by the way, the level of lights we've got now is about 25% better than the best was back in the late 60s. I can tell you, some of the lights you saw at grounds are very ropey indeed, especially in cup competitions. But I mean, you can still see the shadows stretching out from the players down there, but I don't think Mike Dean will be allowed to continue like this until we have an improvement. We'll wait and see. The players are all still out, but they haven't been taken off. You're listening to 5 Live. You're listening to a game of real importance at the bottom end of the Premier League, and Norwich lead it with a goal by Sargent, young player Josh Sargent, who improvised to flick it in. Yes, we have that. Well, one of the light away to our right, the light on the left-hand corner is gone on. There we go.
You're just as excited as the fans there, JP.
I am, yeah.
Love that.
Oh, no, it's flickering again.
It's gone, no.
Oh.
It's like a disco in here tonight.
Yeah, it is. It's like when I try...
the lights.
Yeah, it's like when my lights at home go off on the Christmas tree and I try and mend them and they flicker and flicker, go off again, come on, and I jubilantly dance around thinking I've solved it. I am the DIY expert of all time, and then 30 seconds later the lights go off and that's it. I have to get a new set. Well, they're on the right, far side from us. Whoa. Here they come on the left. First time I've ever had to commentate on floodlights coming on, and it's on, it's staying on. It's on.
Oh no.
Left hand side, 64 minutes gone. 1-0 Norwich, and the great excitement on 5 Live here is the steeple chase for floodlights. So on the far side we've got floodlight number 1, the favourite for this one, and on the right hand side the underdog floodlight number 2, and they're both off at the moment. I think the players are going to still warm up. Connie McLaughlin and Ibrox, rescue us.
Well, I can only rescue you in the respect that I've got some floodlights in the game that I'm watching here, so I'm pretty lucky in that respect. But speaking of casting shadows, Rangers are certainly doing that in this Scottish Cup game, 4th round of the Scottish Cup. Rangers are 3 goals to the good up against Stirling Albion. They're 37 places, Stirling Albion, beyond or behind Rangers. So you would kind of expect this. This isn't a game that Rangers were expected to lose. But as you know, with the Cup, you never quite know. At the moment, Albion kind of chasing shadows. Rangers knocking the ball about for fun, really long spells of possessions, some 1-2s between Kemar Roof and John Lundstrom. And I think this is an opportunity for Giovanni Van Bronckhorst just to test some things out, some huge games coming up in the Scottish Premiership over the next couple of weeks, not including, even more so than the one against Celtic on the 2nd of February. So I'm guessing he'll have one eye on that with some of the players that he's using this evening. But Rangers comfortable, 3 goals to the good in the Scottish Cup 4th round against Stirling Albion.
Thank you very much. We've had about a 4-minute delay here. Still the floodlight pylons in the corners of the ground, 4 corners are only on half power. Just a reminder, it's not just the football we've got this weekend for you. From tomorrow morning at 3 a.m, hang on a minute, getting an announcement here.
To get the issue resolved and away as soon as possible.
Until the floodlight issue is resolved, we can't carry on, but they're going to try and get the game going as soon as possible. Yeah, from tomorrow morning at 3 o'clock on Sports Extra, it's the second T20 of the Women's Ashes down under, and then from 6:30 a.m. it's all eyes on Dan Evans in the tennis at the Australian Open. Well, let's bring in a man who's quite often left me in the dark on our travels around the world and perplexed. Anyway, Fletch, what do you make of this?
I was hoping for more commentary on the steeplechase. I was really enjoying that.
And me, I wanted to see who's coming up next.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's an unlikely outsider in the lights steeplechase. There's a red blinking light on top of the chimney in the hospital, and I'd say that's a possible outsider in this race for glory in the light steeplechase at Vicarage Road, Fletch.
Yeah, 4 blinking lights that are a problem at the moment, Jonathan. What I can say is, from what I understand, the mains power has been lost, and there is usually a generator that then instantly kicks back in, but for some reason it's not igniting properly, so hence why you've had the floodlights on and then off again. And until they sort that problem out, they're going to have to be in this holding pattern as they are at the moment. I mean, let's just have a conversation about the goal, shall we, before we talk about any issues with lights. I mean, that's got to be goal of the season, hasn't it, Josh Sargent? Brilliant finish, wasn't it? Lovely improvised finish with the outside of his right boot. Lovely, you know, and also credit to Pukki. They thought it might have been a foul, but the way he persisted, chased down the defender, got the ball into the middle. Norwich haven't had too many chances to celebrate goals away from home, Darren, have they? And that was a lovely one to relish that. What I would say, Karen, it was an awful cross from Pukki, wasn't it? If he doesn't finish it like that, they waste a glorious opportunity.
He absolutely zinged it in at him, didn't he? And it was behind him, and credit to Sargent, the technique that he had, because it's a really difficult, you know, execution that he got, and it was you kind of, even as a neutral, you wanted it to go in because it was that good of a cheeky finish, and credit to him, and luckily it did. But yeah, you're right, they were just more aggressive, Norwich, and even that Pukki getting there, winning it back when it wasn't a great ball out to him, making something out of nothing. And then they've probably been a better side, definitely the second half, and I don't think Watford have come out, and they just seem to be a bit more, well, as JP would say, slow at the races, I guess.
Yeah, if you're down there as a player, Karen, in this situation, and you get a break like this just after a huge goal has been scored like that for Norwich, would this favour the Norwich players or the Watford players?
I'd probably say the Watford players. They just came on and made a sub, and I think when it broke, you know, Hanley was straight over saying, "Oh, can we play on? Can we play on?" Because he knew they kind of had Watford a little bit rattled and they'd stopped their rhythm, but. You just see now Ranieri's talking, he's getting information across, so they've got time to regroup, refocus again, so I think it would favour Watford more than Norwich.
I've got to say, JP, in all the years I've been in football grounds watching matches, I've never had one abandoned because of floodlight failure. Have you ever been in there when this kind of thing's happened and they've not been able to put it right?
I remember a World Cup playoff between Australia and one of the South American nations when the lights went off at half time, and I was told, it was working for the satellite TV station, I was told to carry on commentary, but it was pitch black, couldn't see a thing, and they kept shouting in my ear, carry on commentating. I couldn't see anything. So how we were supposed to do it, I don't know. I think that one was abandoned. Mike Dean, by the way, is down talking to Ranieri on the touchline. The Premier League match manager is down there with he's been involved in these discussions. One of the assistant referees is there as well, and I think Mike Dean is possibly putting a time span on. He should do, Karen, shouldn't he? Because the players can't go on like this without knowing what's going to happen. Are we going to restart here with the floodlights half on?
I think he's asking the goalkeepers, are they happy to play on, maybe given the lights? I don't know, and yeah. I think he seems good to go.
I was watching that, and he got the two captains there as well, Grant Hanley and Moussa Sissoko. He was talking for a long time. The end of it, he said, "Are you happy?" So I think he's come up with some kind of compromise at the moment, and he's just checking and making sure that everybody's okay with that. It wouldn't surprise me if you get back underway relatively quickly.
Yeah, I think we're going to get going any moment now. Well, the clock away at the Rickery end says 70 minutes and 50 seconds have elapsed, but we're well short of that. I'm not too sure how long the delay was. If you've got any information about there, Fletch, you might give it to us. Meanwhile, Connie McLaughlin, you've got a goal up there at Ibrox.
I do, a fourth for Rangers and the first of the evening for Fashion Sakalik. He took it really well on his right foot. He just sort of side-footed it past the Stilling Albion goalkeeper. He found some space on the left-hand side. He had a bit of work to do, to be fair to him, and he just sort of rolled it into the back of the net. So Rangers comfortable in this one. They know that they've got that opportunity now to get into the draw for the fifth round of the William Hill Scottish Cup, and it is Rangers 4, Stirling Albion 0.
And we're back playing here, and we're back with Norwich on the attack. Rashitska, low ball into the Watford penalty, has zipped on through. Bright start after the delay by Norwich. That's important, I think, Karen, that they came right on the front foot straight away after the delay. But Watford have it back with Sissoko to the right touchline. Kiko Femenia. The floodlights are at half power. We've had 11 minutes of delay here at Vicarage Road because of the floodlight failure. And as I said, the lighting, if you go back 20-30 years, isn't anywhere near as bad as it was back in the day. But for these football players these days, how long would it take them to readjust to this sort of level of lighting, Karen? Oh,
look, they're already back out there, and you know what? I played with a player that actually complained it was too bright. They were a wide player, and sometimes the lights were too bright for them. So that was an issue on, but look, they seem they're professionals. They're getting on with it, no problem.
A little bit of a stumbled clearance though by Christian Cabaselli. Can't say he lost it in the lights because it was a low ball raking sort of a pass that may have bounced awkwardly for a player who might be showing signs of rustiness in his first start in 3 months. So it's a throw to Norwich City, who lead by a goal to 0. The goal by Josh Sargent early in this second half. If you get a chance to watch it again, then I would suggest you do. Match of the day tomorrow night, of course, on BBC television. We'll have highlights of this game, and I expect you'll be able to see it on Football Focus as well tomorrow. But in comes across from the Norwich left by Rosicka, and Sargent attacks him. He's got another! It's a brilliant header! It's an outstanding header! A lovely cross in from Rosicka on the left-hand side. Boy, he had to climb for that, and he rose above a statuesque Watford defence and headed Norwich City 2-0 to the good. It's only the third time this season they have scored the opening goal of the game. On both previous occasions, they went on to win the game. It's only the 5th time in 46 top-flight games they have scored 2 or more in a match.
It's brilliantly worked down the left-hand side, and as you said, it came to Rashika and he delivered a fantastic ball. There might be, though, a call for offside. Just going to have to wait and see. Got the ball in, he did a nice little bit of magic. Rashika got to the byline and put it in there, and what he did is he hung it up 8 yards out, and it just gave Sargent the time, A, to get there, and B, to get up and rise, because he's such a cool physical player. He's got height stature on him, and he just gets up and climbs and gets enough connection on it, and he's put it into the far corner. And
been checked for offside. The green line's been drawn across the pitch. I think the Rashitska was offside as he turned against Kika Femeni. The ball was played forward to him, and the goal stands after a VAR check. It's 2-0 to Norwich, and they got on with that decision fairly quickly. It was right that they checked it, and from a cursory glance at this little screen we have with us here, it was right that they gave the goal.
Again, it was a brilliant ball in and a great header, and just the confidence in Norwich, and the tempo has changed, the pressing's changed, and Sargent looks like a new player in his new window maybe.
Norwich would climb 2 points above Watford in the table if they hold on to this. They look for Sargent again. The ball had too much space for Marins into the penalty on the right hand side. The Norwich fans are absolutely jubilant away to the right hand side, jumping up and down at the Vicarage Road end, and you can understand why the importance of this. Yes, Watford would still have a couple of games in hand on them, and Burnley down at the bottom certainly, and Newcastle would have a couple of games in hand, but this is a terrific scoreline at the moment. As Connie McLaughlin give us full time from Ibrox.
Rangers are in the draw for the 5th round of the Scottish Cup after a convincing performance. It was 18-year-old Alex Lowry who opened the scoring on his debut and making a bit of history for himself there. James Tavernier made it 2 from the penalty spot but failed to convert another one just a couple minutes later. Cedric Itten grabbed the 3rd in the second half, and Fashion Sakala wrapped things up with 4 minutes to go. Job done, Rangers 4, Stirling Albion 0.
Thank you very much. 2-0 to Norwich here. Mike Dean, the referee, by the way, we're told, asked both managers if they were happy to continue with this light. They said yes. We saw him ask both captains. He then certainly approached one of the goalkeepers, Bachmann, and they all seem to want to carry on, and why not? It's fine. It's fine to play in this light, I think. And here's King for Watford on the right-hand side. Well, they need some comeback here now. They need a Manchester United at home performance. They don't need this sort of befuddled performance they've got today, as Dennis slips the ball down their left hand side and looks for João Pedro. Pressurised, holds the ball tight under control, gets the ball whipped into the penalty area, far side, and Williams misjudges his header away. Sargent does well though for Norwich on the right hand side of the defence, headed it out, and Watford would look to build again. Here is Kayemba.
JP, I don't understand. So the ball's gone in. I don't understand why they put King out on that right hand side. It hasn't worked since he's gone out there. He was totally fine with Ennis and João Pedro getting 1v1s at the fullbacks of Norwich. So I don't understand why he did that.
Dennis is sent off, Karen.
Wow.
He left the foot in on a challenge down below us with Aarons, and the Watford players looked dismayed. The Norwich players immediately went to Mike Dean, the referee, who I think checked that he had put Dennis in the first half, and he is sent off. This is a huge blow for Watford and Claudio Ranieri, and let me remind you, we are about to enter an international break weekend. Sacking time for managers at this stage of the year, and he has a poor record as the Watford manager, we have to say. We're seeing a replay. Dennis, I'm not too sure how much contact was there, but the tackle was late, the boot was raised high, came down, did catch Aarons on the bottom of the boot, second yellow, off he's gone.
I think he's just tried to block, stick out a leg and block it being cleared, and he's just caught Max Aarons and spun himself.
Well, we've just seen a replay here of his booking in the first half, where we felt he was unfortunate to be booked, and at least Malou was the offender on that occasion.
Yep, completely agree. I thought wrong wrong yellow card in the first one, and maybe that one was a little bit harsh, maybe, JP?
Here's Sargent on a hat-trick outside the penalty area, drives, deflects off Cavaselli, and Norwich have a corner kick. I think it's their first of the game. It's on the left-hand side, and Watford are wobbling, and for their fans, very worrying.
Heads down, confidence not there. You know, earlier on I just saw, I think João Pedro, he kind of threw his arms in the air when the attack didn't happen, but just before the sending off. But contrary to Norwich though, Sargent's like a man possessed for him.
Do Watford think long and hard about Claudio Ranieri's situation after this game if it stays like this? The corner is hoiked towards the far post. Hanley is there, twisted his head, headed wide, but he won it in the air too comfortably for Watford comfort.
Yeah, he got up really, really well. Might have used the defender camera there to get above it, but got up there, got the header, but it was just glancing too wide. Just trying to see if the referee had done something there, but you're just thinking, what's the response now of Watford? They're still going with the three up top.
And the referee's just stopped it here. He got a shout from VAR to see if the challenge was fair. It was. Not too sure why we stopped that at all. We don't have a communication with the VAR here. We can't hear what they're saying. Sometimes we can, tonight we can't. Now it's a free kick to Watford, just inside the Norwich half. They trail by 2 goals to 0. It's about 10 yards in from the left-hand touchline. And the home side needs something very, very quickly now. 7 defeats in 8, 13 defeats in 19 league games. The free kick will be taken by Edo Kayembe there. £4.7 million signing for Rupert. Into the box it goes. Sargent calls for the keeper to come out. Hasn't come out, and it needs to be headed off the line there. Cucho, as the goalkeeper heads it in, headed it goal side. He's now had a good shot on the half turn, but the goalkeeper parries and gets it away. But Watford very nearly back into the game, and Norwich very nearly gave them a route back into it. They've now cleared it away with Gibson on the edge of his own penalty to get it out. A rising clearance is headed forward again by one of the Watford midfield players. In fact, it was Cavaselli forward who pushed it more dangerously again into the Watford half. But they have it back again now, Watford, just inside their own half with Sissoko. Back to the square. Here's Kamara. Angles a diagonal ball out towards Cucho Hernandez, attacking down the left-hand flank, plays it into João Pedro. Cucho Hernandez picks it up again, trying to the back heel, now finds João Pedro, much better from Watford. The corner goes off Aarons for a corner ball now. The cross goes off Aarons for a corner ball to Watford. Much, much better for them, Karen.
Yeah, but they're playing with their width and their wide players. They're the best players, and they're getting in those 1v1s, and that's what they should have done in the second half. And I don't understand why he chopped and changed it up front, and now you lose Dennis as well. But we've got a corner now. Can they get back in it?
Wing comes across towards the far post, and a big aerial challenge in there. Comes to nothing. The ball goes all the way through. I think the challenge was by Sammy. I didn't make contact, might have committed a foul. But going back to that error of judgment at the back by Norwich, Sargent, the goalkeeper, misunderstanding, and it was headed forward by Cucho Hernandez and just cleared away off the line. And then the goalkeeper's made a good reaction save from the second Hernandez effort.
Yeah, the second save was good because there was a lot of people in front of him, and he had to rectify the mistake between him and Sargent running goals. Just a lack of communication. Neither of them dealt with it, and then they just kind of got in, and that's where the opportunity came from. But got themselves out of it.
The clock says 82 minutes gone, but we're not that deep into the game. 11-minute delay for floodlight failure. Here's Aarons. That then to his centre-back, the experienced Grant Hanley, and all the way to the keeper, Angus Gunn. Clears away to the left-hand side. Williams quickly challenged, so it's going to be a throw-in to Norwich. How can they manage this lead now? Can they get back-to-back Premier League victories? Only won 3 of the last 29 away league games on a Friday night. Hasn't suited them starting the weekend away from home. Pookie chasing back of his own half, can't redeem possession. Watford to knocking it in behind Gibson to King. Was Gibson pulling back on King? In comes his cross. Grant Hanley diving header finds Williams. That's a good clearance away towards the left-hand side. Mashitska still deep inside his own half, has ruined it all with a poor ball out. Collected by Kayembe. He pushes it forward towards João Pedro. I think he's been probably the liveliest most technically gifted of the Watford players tonight. He's made a run out towards the left-hand side to receive the ball from Kayembe. João Pedro trying to get between three Norwich players. Contact might have been there, but he went down too theatrically, and Norwich can clear away towards Ida, who's tripped his man, and that will be a free kick as Samir Caetano picks himself up. There's a little bit of a knocking of feet together. It's a free kick. And also camera coming off for Watford, and he's being replaced by Ken Sema, who has been up and down with Watford in recent seasons. The Swedish international comes on then, left-hand side, wide man, forward player really, but can play as a left wing back, and on he comes in on this near side.
Yeah, he's just slotted in at left back, and they'll just say to him, look, we need you to be a left winger, don't worry about it, we're going to have to go for it a little bit more. And in front of him is Hernandez now on the left hand side, and João Pedro's gone in the 9, and King's still on the right hand side in attack.
But Norwich have the ball and they're inside the Watford half, and they lead by 2 goals to 0. Gibson, actually unworried, it has to be said, at the back today. Sargent, led by Lys Malou, has had a good game for Norwich, the heart of their midfield. He's there again to angle the ball quickly away towards Sargent, keep it moving very, very quickly. Been a key for Norwich in this second half. Goes up towards Buke, surely he's fouled there. He's wrestled it back the way of Rashica. He's trying to control the ball while almost stumbling inside the box. Now does stumble and go down, but surprised the referee didn't give a free kick for the challenge on Jimmy Puke, and Watford will break from that. They have possession on the halfway line. King going forward. He's got a runner in Sissoko out to the right-hand side, and Takucho Hernandez. Now João Pedro is found outside the box. Bends in the shot, was slipping too late over the bar. Good move.
Yeah, very good counter-attacking football. Quick, energetic, 1 touch, 2 touch. Wins it out. King then pops it into Hernandez. Pulls it out then to João Pedro on his left-hand side. He just straight away, 1 touch, knows what he wants to do, trying to bend it. Got a good pace on it, but was just going over the bar. I think Gunn had it covered, and it was quite central as well. That's the counter-attacking threat they have, even with 10 players.
Norwich are going to make a substitution. Sam Byram's going to come on for Norwich City, so badly hit by injuries at the club, and he'll replace Timo Pukki, so it's a defender coming on for an attacker. He was out from February of 2020 until December of 2021 after a thigh operation. Sam Byram, only his 5th appearance of this campaign, and he'll be replacing Timo Pukki, former Leeds United youngster, went to West Ham United, really worked from there, and Norwich paid £750,000. I know that the Leeds Academy worked very hard on him. I know you'll have heard Lucy Ward on the TV and radio. She was at Leeds at the time. Always spoke very, very highly of young Sam when he was there. Terrific Leeds Academy at that stage. Very, very good. Neil Redfern played a major role in the development of young players up there as well at Leeds United. And Byram is on, and Watford having to come from behind by 2 goals to 0. Tomorrow we've got Manchester United against West Ham for you with Ian Dennis and Mark Lawrenson at 3 o'clock. Right now we have Norwich on the attack again down the left-hand side. Rashica, Ida is in the middle. Sargent holding deep now on a hat-trick. The ball is flicked away from him though by Ken Sema, who now tries to win it back for Watford at the second attempt, but as he does so and stabs it forward, there's not a yellow shirt within 20 yards of Big Grant Hanley.
I was just looking at the stats there, JP, in this time period that's gone. There's been for Watford 11 goal attempts, only 4 on target. In the second half, only 3 shots, 2 on target.
Don't forget, Watford down to 10 men with the sending off of Dennis for a second bookable foul. Emmanuel Dennis, he will be badly missed. 7 goals he has this season. They've got goals in Pedro, they've got goals in King. Cucho Hernandez hasn't scored enough for them, but they will badly miss him, that's for sure. They're going to make another substitution, Watford at any moment now, and they are chasing this game, and it is a hugely vital game. Jure Kučka is going to come on for them, midfield player, Czech Republic, born Slovakian international, and on he will come now. So Watford making another change. Off goes Femenia, and on comes Kučka. He's a midfield player. Off goes Femenia, who's had his ups and downs as a Watford player, trudges around the far side of the pitch, looks up at the Watford fans behind that goal, and it's a bit of a weary trudge. They're really up against it here as they look for Cucho Hernandez, trying to bustle away from the attentions of Aarons in the right full-back position for Norwich. Sissoko back again then towards Hernandez, plays into the feet of João Pedro, takes it again 5 yards outside the penalty, clips a little ball, Hanley reads and gets away, and Sargent rather buffeted into Hernandez, but the referee's close up, says play on. Watford have possession. Giant clock at the Rookery end of the ground away to our left shows us into the last minute, but we have of course plenty of time due to the 11-minute delay due to floodlight failure. Sema for Watford, it's a chance to cross, didn't cross. Takes on Sargent on the outside, now flashes in across towards the far post. There was a little push there. Rasicka. The Watford fans bay for a penalty, the referee's having none of it. Sissoko collects the ball to Pedro, 5 yards outside the penalty, looks for the left touchline. Sema, Sargent's in front of him again, pulls it back to João Pedro, looks to get the cross in behind the back. Kuchka arriving, that's a lovely goal. That is a lovely goal, but it won't count because the flag is raised for offside.
It's a brilliant goal, like you said. I just wonder if Sissoko had left it, would Kucha would have been onside, coming in the back post, would have scored it. It's a brilliant bit of finish though from Sissoko. The cross comes in and he's kind of like swiveled on the turn and then volleyed it in on his right foot. It's a deep cross that came in, he's just offside by a yard, right decision. It's a lovely finish though.
Brilliant finish.
I do think he'd have left it though, JP. I think Kucha would have been onside and would have side-footed that in, and I think the same outcome of hitting the back of the net would have been the one.
Kuchka was coming in, but it wasn't he who flashed the ball into the back of the net. The great roar you heard was for the floodlights coming on at full power. And Norwich remained 2 to the good. Had he left it, Karen, Kuchka was arriving. I thought it was he who'd scored it actually, but there was the touch in the middle. Now Byram for Norwich, the right back position. We're into the 15 minutes then of stoppage time. For floodlight failure, for the sending off, for the goals. And we will stay with the action on 5 line. Throw to Norwich. Aarons will take it. Thought about throwing, stumbled forward. Would have been a foul throw, goes back, throws forward then. Aarons to Byron, gets it into the penalty area. Ida turns it into the middle, it's an own goal, and Norwich are 3-0 up. Norwich are 3-0 up. The ball deflected in off Juraj Kuchka, and what a miserable introduction to the game for him. Played a part in the goal that was disallowed, and now beats his own goalkeeper. And it's Watford 0, Norwich 3 in a game of such importance at the bottom of the Premier League. And Claudio Ranieri down below us bites his lip and looks out, and you can only wonder about his future at this football club.
Look, it's coming from a throw-in, just simple set-up. Throw into Max Aarons, gets it back off the throw-in, and he puts a lovely cheeky ball into Ida. He's going away from goal, it's difficult, he's having to stretch to keep it in, and he pulls it back on the 6-yard line. There's no one really around Kucha, or anyone that's going to come in, I think, and really get a tap in, and he just puts his leg out, 3 yards out, he just takes it away from Backman, and it's an own goal, and it's 3-0, but again, it's just simple from Norwich. Throw in, set back, get to the byline, cross in, own goal. And it's just naive from Watford. And you look at Dean Smith now on the side, he's absolutely ecstatic with his second half performance.
He pirouetted, he jumped into the air with delight, he clenched his fist, and Watford fans are leaving in their droves. I can see them pouring out of the Graham Taylor stand opposite me, and there's a wry and rather resigned look on the face of Claudio Ranieri. There were boos as well from some Watford fans. Sacked in the morning, that's the cry from the Norwich fans, cruelly taunting Claudio Ranieri, who's such an affable man, and he's a lovely man to talk about football with, but results mean everything in this game, and this would be 8 defeats in 9, 14 league defeats. No one has recovered from those sort of results in the Premier League and stayed up. And this is a football club, of course, that is not known for its patience with its managers. They might get something here, they don't. Sissoko shoulder to shoulder with Hanley. and nothing given. Ranieri, their 14th manager in 10 years. Far too many. Turnover of players here over the years. Far too many. But it is their business model. It's the way it's worked for them. Up and down, up and down. And who knows what might happen. It wasn't a can't lose game. It wasn't a must win game. But it was a huge game. It has been a huge night.
I think it's the manner as well though, JP. You know, I don't know what's happened to them in the second half, and yes, you have to give credit to Norwich. They came out more aggressive, but you should be standing up to that, knowing the circumstance that you're in, Watford, and knowing how big this game is.
But Watford on the attack now, across towards the far post area. King was in there battling away. Kitchko gone forward, couldn't get there. 3 away goals scored by Norwich City this season until they came to Vicarage Road and doubled that tally. It's a cruel scoreline illuminated on that big screen, and Ranieri still hands across, folded across his chest down below us. Can't quite believe what has happened. There's going to be a substitution here now for Norwich City, and they're going to remove Milo Rashica and replace him with let's see who's coming on for them. It's Przemysław Płoszeta, the Polish international, who will come on. But at the Euros only briefly, he had a cameo role against Sweden, I seem to remember, featured in their last 6 games now for Norwich. They signed him in the summer of 2020, played a role during the promotion campaign, but not really this season. Time from Śląsk Wrocław in Polish football. A wide player, and he's gone away on the far side with his slate grey boots and fair hair drawn back in a little sort of tiny ponytail thing up to the edge of the penalty area. You know, you can tell I don't know my hair fashions. And there he is on the far side, he's giving it away. Płoszeta, and the King will drive to the edge of the box, and he's not too far wide of the far post.
And then just there, Płoszeta's just come on, and he's not the speed. A few of the players said to him, look, don't worry about it, but just gave it away in an untidy area, and Josh King quick onto it. Has a long range shot. It's going wide, no, doesn't really cause any problems.
I thought Rashica did well for them at times, Norwich.
He did, he travelled with the ball, he was crafty, he was nimble. And I think he does protect and give confidence to Brandon Williams, and that's important for Williams, because I think he's a confidence player, and he's going into the game, especially as the second half's gone on, and I think Rashica's very, very keen to that, and you can't argue about the delivery then for the goal for Sargent. It's a brilliant ball. That's what you want from your wide players, goals and assists, and he stepped up with that tonight with an assist.
Only the 5th time in 46 top-flight games they've scored more than 1 in a match, and they've rattled in 3 with a helping hand. Can Watford get anything out of it? Here's King. This is a bitter pill for them to swallow. Kayembe. They'd worked so hard at Newcastle to get the draw at the weekend. Cucho Hernandez from range, dipping, hits the top of the bar. It really has not been their night.
Wow. I thought at first that was going well over, but it's one of them where he's absolutely hit it on that sweet spot, and it's just dipped at the last minute, and you see him going scrambling, he's worried. 35 yards out, right-footed shot, a lot of pace on it, like I said, and he just dipped and hit the top of the crossbar. And as you said, it's just not their night. Hit the crossbar and went out for a goal kick, but good effort though from Hernandez.
An own goal. They were protested about the validity of certainly the first Norwich goal. I believe that was a free kick. VAR checked it, and Mike Dean stuck with his original decision. But does the 3-0 scoreline flatter Norwich?
I'd probably say it would, if I'm honest. I just think though they've been clinical and ruthless, and that's something I'm not familiar in saying in Norwich, and I think that's fair. But credit to them, they've had a little bit of luck, but they've took it. And I do think the second half performance was so good. The first 10-15 minutes, they really showed, right, we're going to try and stay in this league, we want it more than you, and just pressed and were more aggressive, and Watford just kind of fell away from it, and haven't seen them step up since. And the sending off, you said the look as well, I'm a bit dubious about how Lisa Malou got away with it, and Dennis got that first yellow.
Dean Smith's 200th win as a manager, and Watford on the attack trying to get some sort of consolation. 554 games, 200 wins for the Aston Villa manager, the Norwich City manager. I mean, lost his job at the Villa so long as a Walsall manager. Brentford he did so well. Villa got them up, got them to the League Cup final, ran out of steam. This is his most important victory as the Norwich manager. Or would you say the Everton victory was the most important?
I'd say this one, because he keeps the run going. You know, you could say Everton, and especially against Watford, but equally Everton are in the mix as well. But this one's, I think he'll enjoy this one very much so.
But it's huge, it takes him out of that bottom three, and they've languished there all campaign, and no one has given them a chance. Now everyone is saying it's 3 from 4. I'm not too sure it is, you know. I think there could be another twist.
What are you thinking, JP?
Well, Everton are in a mess, and tomorrow is vital for them. If they win, and Big Duncan can have an effect on them, they could pull closer away. Leeds United are far from safe. Brentford are not safe. You've got Southampton who can't string a series of results. I think all those clubs only need 7-8 points really, but can they get them? The probability is that it will be 3 from 4. That's the probability. I'm just not too sure. What do you think?
You're spot on, but I think this is a massive result for Norwich now. I think you're right, it just pulls Everton under a little bit more pressure tomorrow. It's making it very exciting, you know, the top half we know that City potentially running away with it, so it makes it good for everyone involved. Maybe not the fans that support their respective team down there, but it makes it certainly really, really interesting at the bottom, and the top 4 finish as well.
And they go to Wolves in the Cup after this, and then they have Crystal Palace at home. Norwich, Watford on the attack, all into the penalty, and Kuchka tries to find King in the middle. As for Watford, well, their next games are West Ham in the league, West Ham United away, Brighton at home, and the Villa away. They're not easy fixtures when all of a sudden your revival spirit is dampened by a performance like this.
Yeah. Some interesting questions maybe posed after this game, you know, put players in to try and get a defence, be a bit more solid, have that block that Ranieri was after. He alluded to that in his interview, but find yourself losing 3-0 to Norwich. We're not exactly high-flying scorers. Some questions might be asked.
2 goals came from crosses from the same sort of area when Norwich didn't give up the cause, and Watford rather did, on the sort of right-hand side of the penalty area. Anyway, the home side has it now. It's Samir Kaitana, one of those players brought in, as Karen was saying. Here's João Pedro, who has been lively, can hold his head up high, needed help, needed communication. Sargent nicked it off his toes. Now looks for it down the right-hand side. Byron bent a lovely ball out to him, and Sargent can attack that Watford back 4. But he's no way through from, so he tunnels back up the line, uses Aarons into Byron, who lost possession. Sissoko now. Full of work for Watford in that midfield. You come to expect that with Moussa Sissoko. But have they got enough guile in there? There is goals in the team, but they continue to ship at the back. Here's Samo with a cross that deflects off Aarons. Still no clean sheet for Watford this season. And that is the worst record of all 92 clubs in the top 4 divisions. Corner kick taken quickly by Cucho Hernandez. Gets the ball returned to him. Right foot bending cross, low, deflects off Sargent, and now it can be brought away here with Buschetta over the halfway line with a determined run here. Carries it deep inside Watford territory, turns it square to Ida, couldn't control the ball, and it runs away. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Watford players were walking back.
That's what I was just looking at. The fans were fuming and booing that there, that yes, it come from their corner, but why were Norwich going forward with 3 or 4 players in attack, and Watford players jogging back when you're 3-0 down at home in a relegation battle. Can't be jogging. I know the game is effectively over, but you got standards, you got to fight for that badge, and fans made sure they were heard there with their feelings.
Fernandez leaves it for João Pedro, tucks infield to Sissoko, halfway line, he's fouled by Byron. Free kick here then for Watford, who are playing for crumbs now, that's all.
It's weird, as a player I'd be looking at the clock how long's left, but I can't work it out because it's 90 plus 15.
Well, I think we've got a minute to go, just over a minute to go now. We've had 13 and 3/4 minutes of stoppage time. There's only one team in yellow, I think the Norwich fans are singing. They're not in yellow tonight, they're in this fluorescent garb. And it's Watford in the yellow, who come forward again now over the halfway line. Samir Kaitana, he's signing for Moudinese. Now João Pedro, central midfield, pushes the ball square to his right, takes it back in step of the left, quickly onto his right foot, stops it into Sissoko, who loses possession, and Brandon Williams with a big charge downfield is dumped to the ground by Sissoko. Watford's cause not helped by the sending off of Dennis. The two bookable offences went off shortly after the hour.
You know what though, JP, I think I agree that was a factor, but I think they were always on a downward spiral anyway. I don't think they came out in the same manner they did in the first half, where they looked in control, dominated. So even before that I felt something was a bit off with them, and they weren't really matching Norwich's intensity and pressing game.
Well, a massive win for Norwich here. A massive win. The full-time whistle blows. Sargent with a lovely goal 6 minutes into the second half. He got a second 16 from time, but we had a long delay for floodlight failure, 11 minutes. And then Kutcher came on, inadvertently cost Watford a goal by straying into an offside position, and then beat his own goalkeeper in stoppage time. We've got a transgressor on the pitch, quickly dealt with by stewards. A rotten night for Watford. You can only now think about the future that lies ahead for Claudio Ranieri. But for Norwich City, onwards and upwards it would seem, Karen, boosted now by successive victories.
Yeah, 2 back-to-back Premier League wins. Good performance, second half really good. First half they saw it out. Yeah, it was difficult at the times, so we're getting done down the sides, but what they did was they protected their goalkeeper and a clean sheet mentality, and then had a bit of luck throughout the game, no question, but we give them moments and they were clinical with it. And Dean Smith now clapping. Massive fan base that has travelled to this game from Norwich today, and fair play, I think it was a good performance. But Watford, were in control first half. I don't think they threatened the goalkeeper, but they're in control, and in the second half completely different team and just capitulated and fell apart. And terrible second half performance, and really bad.
Well, 2 goals were very fine. They were helped by an own goal, but you know what, Fletch, 2 out of 3 ain't bad on this sad day with the passing of Meatloaf, but a very good performance and 3 points for Norwich.